I never thought I'd be standing outside a Chicago hotel at 3 in the morning, staring at security footage that would haunt me for years. But here's the thing about impossible deaths. They don't start impossible. They start with a Saturday night, a birthday party, and a girl who just wanted to have fun with her friends. September 8, 2017. The Crowne Plaza Chicago O'Hare Hotel and Conference Center. And what happened inside those walls that night, what really happened, isn't what they told you. Because I've spent 6 years looking at this case, talking to people who were there, examining every frame of footage the police released, and the more you look, the less sense it makes. 3 mysteries. 3 layers of impossible. And by the time I'm done, you're going to understand why this case still keeps thousands of people awake at night, arguing, theorizing, demanding answers that never come. Her name was Kenneka Jenkins. 19 years old. 2 jobs. Dreams of nursing school. Beautiful smile that could light up a room. Her family called her Nika. She lived with her mom Teresa in North Lawndale, one of Chicago's rougher neighborhoods, but she was making it work, you know? Saving money. Planning her future. And on that Saturday night in September 2017, she was just doing what 19-year-olds do. Going to a friend's birthday party at a hotel. Nothing unusual. Nothing dangerous. Just a party. 11:30 p.m., Kenneka leaves home in her mom's car with 3 friends. They've got a Bluetooth speaker, some cognac, energy drinks. The party's at the Crowne Plaza near O'Hare Airport, in Rosemont. Decent hotel. Conference center. The kind of place where business travelers stay, families pass through on their way to catch flights. Not the kind of place where teenagers die in locked freezers. But if this happened to you, if you've ever had that moment where a normal night turns into something you can't explain, drop "happened" in the comments. Because what makes this case so terrifying is how ordinary it started. 1:13 a.m., they arrive at the party. It's in one of the hotel rooms, birthday party for a friend named Irene. Security later said about 40 people cycled through that room during the night. Music bumping. People drinking. Dancing. Standard hotel party, the kind that happens in every city every weekend. Witnesses said it was chill, nothing crazy. At 1:36 a.m., the birthday girl goes live on Facebook, showing off the party. You can see people in the background, talking, laughing. Kenneka's there somewhere in those frames, alive, smiling, having fun. Just another face in the crowd. At 2:17 a.m., Kenneka posts a Snapchat. Looks like she's in a hotel bathroom. Still normal. Still just a party. But around 3 a.m., something shifts. Kenneka and some friends decide to leave. They're near an elevator in the corridor, and that's when they realize. She doesn't have her phone, doesn't have her car keys. Her stuff is missing, so they make a decision. They leave her there by the elevator, tell her to wait. They'll go back to the room, find her things, be right back. 15, maybe 20 minutes, they said. Just wait here, Nika. We'll be right back. When they returned to that corridor, she was gone. Vanished. Like she'd never been there at all. And that's where this story stops being about a girl at a party and becomes something else entirely. Something that doesn't add up no matter how many times you run the numbers. 4 a.m., her friends call Teresa, Kenneka's mom. Is Nika home? We can't find her. Teresa's voice on that call, you can hear it even now if you search for it online, the confusion turning to worry. No, she's not home. What do you mean you can't find her? They explain. They lost her. At a hotel. Teresa doesn't wait. She tells them get the car. Come pick me up. 5 a.m., they're all back at the Crowne Plaza, searching. Walking the halls. checking every floor, every corner, calling her name. Nothing. It's like the hotel swallowed her whole. 7:15 a.m. Teresa calls the police. Reports her daughter missing. I'm going to play you just a bit of the vibe of that call, because you need to understand the urgency in her voice. She's terrified. Her baby is missing in a hotel, and nobody knows where she is. The police tell her what police always tell parents in these situations. Go home, wait. She probably met up with another friend, she'll turn up. If she doesn't show by tomorrow, call us back. Standard procedure, right? Missing person under 24 hours. Probably just a miscommunication. But Teresa knows. Mothers know. Something is wrong. Kenneka wouldn't just disappear. She wouldn't ghost her own mom. Kenneka doesn't show up. Not at 6 a.m., not at 7, not at 8. Family members descend on the hotel. They're knocking on doors, asking guests, "Have you seen this girl? 19 braids, last seen wearing jeans and a t-shirt." The hotel guests are confused, annoyed. It's Sunday morning. People are hungover, trying to sleep. But the family doesn't stop. Can't stop. 1:13 p.m. Kenneka is officially reported missing. Police arrive at the hotel. Now it's real. Now it's a search. They check the party room, the hallways, the stairwells. They're looking, but here's what's crazy. The hotel isn't helping. Not really. Teresa had asked for the security footage at 5 a.m. when she first arrived. Show me the cameras. Let me see where my daughter went. They refused. Said they needed police authorization. Even when the police showed up, the hotel stalled. They checked cameras at the exits, the entrances, looking to see if she left the building. But they didn't check the interior cameras. Didn't look at the hallways, the corridors where she'd actually been. And the family is there, begging, screaming, "My daughter is missing inside your hotel, and you won't look for her?" Hours pass. 8 p.m. Sunday night. Some officers leave. Tell Teresa if there's any update. Give us a call. They're treating it like she ran off. Like it's not an emergency. But let me ask you something. If you were in a hotel, and a teenage girl had been missing for almost 24 hours, and her mother was there crying, begging for help, wouldn't you check every camera? Wouldn't you search every room, every closet, every possible place? The family members said it felt like nobody cared. Like because she was a black girl from a rough neighborhood, she wasn't worth the urgency. And that feeling, that anger, it's part of why this case exploded the way it did. Because this isn't just about what happened to Kenneka. It's about how people responded when she needed help. 12:23 a.m. September 10th. Almost 24 hours since Kenneka vanished. A hotel employee enters a kitchen. Not a main kitchen, a backup one, barely used, on a lower level of the hotel. He walks toward the back, toward a walk-in freezer area. Then the camera shows him turning around, walking faster, getting a police officer. They both enter the kitchen. The officer walks to the freezer, opens the door, and there she is, Kenneka Jenkins, lying face down on the freezer floor, wearing only one shoe, dead. They pronounce her dead right there. 4 hours later, they remove her body. Now here's where it gets strange. That kitchen was barely used. The equipment was shut down, some of it removed. So why was that freezer running? Why was it turned on when the rest of the kitchen was deactivated? The hotel's explanation. They were renting the freezer to a group planning to open a restaurant in that section. Okay, maybe. But that freezer was in pitch darkness. The lights were off. And that camera in the kitchen? Motion activated. It only records when someone enters. According to police, the last time anyone entered that kitchen before Kenneka was August 30th, 10 days earlier. Then nothing. Until Kenneka walked in at 3:32 a.m. on September 9th. Then nothing again until the employee found her body 20 hours later. So she was the only person who entered that kitchen. That's what they say. But here's what doesn't make sense. That freezer door? It closes and locks automatically. There's a white round handle on the inside that you push to unlock and open the door from within. Police tested it. Said it worked fine. So if Kenneka went into that freezer, even drunk, even disoriented, why couldn't she push that handle and get out? Why didn't she bang on the door? Why didn't she scream? The freezer was found 17 hours after Teresa first called the hotel, begging them to check the security cameras. 17 hours. If they'd looked at the footage that morning, would they have found her alive? Could she have survived if they'd searched sooner? That question haunts Teresa Martin to this day. The autopsy came back October 6th. Cause of death: hypothermia. Accidental. She froze to death. Her blood alcohol level was 0.112, legally drunk. She also had caffeine in her system, and a medication called topiramate, used for epilepsy and migraines. The medication wasn't prescribed to her, but the level was within therapeutic range. Combined with alcohol, that drug can cause memory loss, poor coordination, confusion. The medical examiner said those substances, plus the cold, accelerated the hypothermia. There was no evidence of foul play. No evidence anyone forced her to drink or take drugs. No evidence anyone else was near that kitchen when she was there. Just an accidental death. A tragic series of bad decisions and worse luck. That's the official story. But that wasn't even the strangest part of what people found when they started looking closer. Let me take you back to those final hours. Back to 3 a.m., when her friends left her by the elevator. They say they were gone 15, 20 minutes. When they came back, she wasn't there. But what happened in those minutes? Where did she go? The police eventually released the security footage, and that's when things got really weird. The cameras show Kenneka at 3:20 a.m., walking past the hotel reception desk. She's stumbling, using the walls for support, clearly intoxicated. Hotel employees are right there. Guests are in the lobby. And nobody helps her. Nobody asks if she's okay. Nobody calls security. She's a teenage girl, obviously drunk, wandering alone through a hotel at 3 in the morning, and everyone just watches. She walks through corridors, down hallways, touching the walls, her gait unsteady. At 3:25, she's on camera. 3:27, another camera. 3:32, she enters the kitchen area. That's the last time she's seen. She walks into that kitchen, and the door closes behind her. And here's what the cameras don't show, what they can't show because there's no camera with a clear view of that freezer door. How she got inside. The door is around a corner, out of frame. So we see her enter the kitchen. We don't see her enter the freezer. We just know that's where she ended up. Frozen. Alone. Dead. The police interviewed 44 people. 36 were hotel guests. Others were at the party. Some people from the party they couldn't locate. Just gone. Disappeared into the night. The police asked Teresa for Kenneka's phone. She said she'd already checked it, found nothing useful. They insisted. Said they could do a deeper analysis. Find deleted messages, call logs, something. I don't know if they ever found anything, because they never said. In fact, There's a lot the police never said. A lot of questions that just hung in the air, unanswered. People at the party told different stories. Some said it was chill, quiet. Others said it was loud, so loud the hotel had to tell them to keep it down. One woman who didn't want to be identified told police Kenneka was acting strange that night. Sitting on the couch looking sad 1 minute, dancing and happy the next, then sitting again. Mood swings. One friend said when he arrived, she was already drunk, but happy to see him, gave him a big hug. Another witness saw two friends leaving the party with Kenneka around 3 a.m., heading toward the elevator. Those were the friends who left her in the corridor. Later, the same witness said those friends came back about 30 minutes later saying Kenneka was missing. But they didn't seem worried. They left the hotel shortly after. Just left. According to police reports, a lot of people at that party didn't seem concerned. They assumed Kenneka had gone off with someone else, left with another friend. It wasn't until hours later, when she still hadn't turned up, that people started to panic. In the text messages police recovered from those 2 days, one person texts another, "Kenneka's drunk and missing." The response, "Find Kenneka. I can't believe you lost her." That's all we know from the official reports. But that wasn't the end of the story. Not even close. Because when this case hit the media, when those security videos got released, the internet exploded. And what people found, or thought they found, in those videos and Facebook Lives from the party. That's where the real mystery begins. If you think that's disturbing, wait until you hear what thousands of people started claiming they could see and hear in the footage. Because this case became something bigger than Kenneka Jenkins. It became a movement, a conspiracy, a collective obsession. Within days of the news breaking, Facebook groups formed. Forums lit up. Reddit threads stretched for hundreds of comments. People were watching every second of the party footage, the security videos, frame by frame, looking for clues. And they found things. Or at least, they thought they did. Things that made the official story seem impossible. First, there's the $200. On one of the Facebook Lives from the party, you can hear someone mention $200. Just in passing, in the background noise. But people latched onto it. An anonymous caller phoned police on September 11th, claiming some people at the party were Blood's gang members, and that they'd accepted a $200 payment to kill Kenneka. $200. That's the price of a parking ticket, or in some theories, the price of a contract killing. One person at the party said the $200 was about a parking violation at the hotel, whether they had the right ticket or would have to pay a fine. But online, the theories went wild. $200 to hire a hitman. $200 to cover up a gang rape gone wrong. $200 to harvest her organs, her body placed in the freezer to preserve them for black market sale. None of it proven. All of it spreading like wildfire. Then there's the audio. People claimed if you listen closely to certain parts of the Facebook Live, you can hear a voice saying, "Help me." Faint, distorted, but there. They said it was Kenneka's voice, that she was calling for help while people partied around her. Others said it was just the music, a song lyric, audio compression artifacts. But once people heard it, they couldn't unhear it. It became proof, in their minds, that something terrible was happening at that party, that Kenneka was in danger, and nobody helped. Most of the conspiracy theories centered on the people at the party. Why did they leave her alone? Why didn't they seem more worried when she disappeared? Why did some of them leave town afterward, hard to contact, refusing interviews? Some received death threats. One woman gave an interview saying she had to move cities because people were harassing her, accusing her of being involved, threatening her life. She was just at a party, just a guest. and now her life was destroyed. But the theories didn't stop at the party guests. They turned to the hotel itself. People who'd stayed at the Crown Plaza came forward with stories. Weird stories. Someone entering their room with a key, even though they had the only key. Elevators that took you to the wrong floor, no matter what button you pressed. A feeling of being watched, of something off about the place. Standard hotel complaints, maybe. Or maybe signs of something deeper. Then there's the employee. One hotel employee, people claimed, left the country the day after Kenneka's body was found. Just packed up and left. Flew to another country. And the police didn't investigate. Didn't follow up. Didn't think it was suspicious that a hotel worker vanished right after a girl died in their freezer. Is that true? I've seen it mentioned in dozens of places, but I've never seen official confirmation. It's one of those things that floats around this case, impossible to verify, impossible to dismiss. And the security footage. Oh man, the security footage. People analyzed those videos like they were the Zapruder film. They claimed the videos were edited. That timestamps didn't match up. That frames were missing. That another person had entered the kitchen, but that section was cut out. That the motion-activated camera had been turned off manually during a crucial window. They made comparison videos, circling supposed glitches, pointing out visual artifacts as proof of tampering. The hotel and police said the videos were authentic, unedited, complete. But once the seed of doubt was planted, it grew. Because if you want to see evidence of a cover-up badly enough, you'll find it. Pattern recognition is a survival instinct. Our brains are wired to find connections, even when none exist. But sometimes, the connections are real. Sometimes, the pattern isn't just in your head. There's an Instagram account dedicated to this case. Thousands of followers. They post evidence regularly. Photos, video stills, documents. Some of it verifiable. Some of it questionable. I'll put it in the description so you can look and decide for yourself. One major theory involves one of Kenneka's friends at the party. People claim 2 lip glosses were found near Kenneka's body in the freezer. One was hers. The other belonged to this friend. How did the friend's lip gloss get in there if she was never in that kitchen? People connected this friend to the case in a dozen different ways. Timelines that supposedly didn't add up. Suspicious behavior, contradictory statements. Is any of it real? Is it just internet detectives creating a narrative from nothing? I honestly don't know. That's the problem with this case. The deeper you dig, the less solid ground you find. Teresa Martin, Kenneka's mother, filed a lawsuit against the hotel. She blamed them for her daughter's death. Negligence. Failure to properly secure a construction area. Failure to search when she begged them to. Failure to check the security cameras in time to save her daughter's life. If they'd looked at the footage Sunday morning when Teresa first asked, they would have seen Kenneka enter that kitchen at 3:32 a.m. They could have searched that area. Found her. Maybe she would have still been alive. 17 hours. That's how long it took them to find her after Teresa's first call. 17 hours in a freezer. The hotel settled the lawsuit eventually. Details weren't disclosed. Money was paid. But money doesn't bring back the dead. Money doesn't answer the questions. So here's where we are. The official story. Kenneka Jenkins, drunk and under the influence of a medication that caused disorientation, wandered into a deactivated kitchen, entered a walk-in freezer, and couldn't figure out how to open the door from the inside. She died of hypothermia. Accidental death. Tragic, but explainable. No foul play. No murder. No conspiracy. Just a terrible accident born of bad decisions and worse circumstances. That's what the police say. That's what the medical examiner concluded. That's the official answer. But if you know this case, if you've spent any time in those Facebook groups with 90,000 members still arguing about it 7 years later, you know that a lot of people don't believe that story. Can't believe it. Because it requires too many coincidences, too many things going wrong in just the right way. Consider this. Kenneka was drunk, yes. But drunk enough that she couldn't push open a door? The handle worked. Police tested it. You just push and it opens. Even in the dark, even disoriented, you'd feel around, find the handle eventually. Unless you were unconscious. Unless you passed out immediately upon entering. But if she passed out, how did she get in there in the first place? Did she stumble in and collapse? Or did someone put her there? The door closes and locks automatically. If someone placed her inside and shut the door, she'd be trapped, unable to escape even if she woke up. But the cameras show no one else entering that kitchen. So either the cameras are lying, or she went in alone. Those are the only options. Unless there's a third option nobody's considered. A way into that kitchen that doesn't show on camera. An entrance we don't know about. But that's speculation. That's conspiracy thinking. Or is it? Here's what we know for certain. A 19-year-old girl went to a party. She drank. She got separated from her friends. She wandered into a place she shouldn't have been. She died alone in the dark and cold. The hotel was slow to respond. The police were slow to search. Her family had to fight for every scrap of information. And when the investigation concluded, it left more questions than answers. Why was the freezer on? Why were the lights off? Why didn't anyone help her when they saw her stumbling through the lobby? Why did it take 17 hours to find her? Why do so many small details feel wrong? Maybe there's a reasonable explanation for each one. Coincidence stacked on coincidence. Or maybe there's something we're not seeing. Something that ties it all together in a way that makes the impossible suddenly make sense. This case became a symbol, a rallying cry. Protests in the streets demanding justice. Thousands of people convinced the authorities were lying, covering up a murder. Black Lives Matter activists pointing to it as another example of a system that doesn't value black lives, doesn't investigate when black girls go missing. Conspiracy theorists spinning elaborate tales of organ harvesting rings, gang initiations, hotel staff involved in trafficking. True crime obsessives dissecting every frame of video, every police report, every witness statement, looking for the smoking gun. And in the middle of it all, a mother who just wants to know what really happened to her daughter. Teresa Martin doesn't have closure. She has an official cause of death on a piece of paper. But she doesn't have peace. She doesn't have answers that satisfy the questions in her heart. I've looked at this case from every angle I can think of. I've watched the videos until I can see them with my eyes closed. I've read the police reports, the autopsy, the witness statements. I've followed the theories, the accusations, the evidence real and imagined. And here's what I think. I think something happened at that party. Something that made Kenneka act strangely, made her mood swing, made her vulnerable. I think her friends made a terrible decision leaving her alone, a decision they regret every day. I think the hotel failed in its duty to protect guests, failed to respond with urgency, failed to prioritize a missing girl's life. I think the police investigation was hampered by time, by initial assumptions, by a system that moves slowly. And I think Kenneka Jenkins died in that freezer. How she got in there, why she couldn't get out, What really happened in those final hours, I don't know. Maybe nobody does except Kenneka. And she can't tell us. But here's what keeps me up at night. Here's the part one can't shake. The freezer was in darkness. Total darkness. Kenneka had been drinking, yes. But she wasn't falling down drunk in the videos. She was walking, stumbling a bit, but ambulatory. Aware. And that freezer door handle, it's not complicated. You push it and the door opens. So why didn't she? The official explanation is the drug in her system combined with alcohol caused such severe disorientation that she couldn't operate a simple door handle. Okay. Maybe. But then why did she go into the freezer in the first place? What drew her there? People don't just wander into industrial freezers. They're not inviting spaces. They're cold, dark, scary. Even drunk, you'd feel that wrongness. You'd back out. Unless you didn't realize it was a freezer until the door closed behind you. Until it was too late. I want you to imagine it for a second. Put yourself there. You're disoriented. Lost. You've been wandering through unfamiliar corridors. You open a door, thinking it might lead back to the party, back to your friends. You step inside. The door closes behind you with a heavy sound. Click. Locked. Darkness. Complete, utter darkness. And cold. So cold. You reach out, feel metal walls. Frost. You realize where you are. Panic hits. You search for the door, but in the darkness, you can't find the handle. Your hands are numb. Your mind is foggy. You try to shout, but the freezer is soundproofed. No one hears. You sink to the floor. The cold is overpowering. Your body starts shutting down. Hypothermia doesn't hurt after a while. You just get tired. So tired. You lie down. Just for a minute. Just to rest. And you never get back up. That's what they say happened. That's the official story. And it's plausible. Horrible, but plausible. But it requires believing that every single thing went wrong in the exact worst way. And that's where the doubt creeps in. 6 years later, people are still talking about this case. Still sharing the videos. Still theorizing. Someone recently made a TikTok about it that went viral, and suddenly everyone's asking questions again. What really happened to Kenneka Jenkins? Was it an accident? Was it murder? Was it something in between? Negligence so severe it might as well be homicide? We may never know. The investigation is closed. The lawsuit is settled. The official conclusion is written. But justice and truth aren't always the same thing. Sometimes you can have one without the other, and sometimes you have neither. If you've experienced something similar, if you've ever been in a situation where the official explanation didn't match what your gut told you, let me know in the comments. If you know anything about this case, any detail I missed, any theory that makes sense of the senselessness, share it. Because cases like this don't end with police reports. They end when we stop asking questions. And I'm not ready to stop asking. Are you? Kenneka Jenkins was 19 years old. She had dreams, plans, a future that got cut short in the worst way imaginable. Her mother still fights for answers. Her friends carry the weight of that night. And thousands of strangers who never met her feel connected to her story, compelled by the mystery, haunted by the unanswered questions. 3 mysteries. The mystery of what happened to Kenneka in those final hours. The mystery of why the hotel and police responded the way they did. And the mystery of why, 6 years later, none of it feels resolved. 3 cases that defy explanation. 3 layers of impossible stacked on top of each other. And somewhere in that stack, buried under official reports and conspiracy theories and grief and anger, is the truth. I just hope someday we find it. I hope Teresa finds peace. I hope Kenneka rests knowing people still care, still remember, still refuse to let her story disappear. Because that's all we can do for the dead. Remember them. Keep their stories alive. And never stop asking why. If this story affected you, hit that subscribe button. I cover cases like this, mysteries that stick with you, questions that won't let go. And let me know in the comments what you think happened. Accident? Murder? Something else? Let's figure this out together. Because sometimes the truth isn't in official reports. Sometimes it's in the spaces between, in the details that don't quite fit, in the questions nobody wants to answer. And sometimes, just sometimes, if enough people keep asking, keep pushing, keep demanding, the truth comes out. That's what I believe. That's why I do this. And that's why I'm asking you to share this, talk about it, keep Kenneka's name alive. Because she deserves better than being forgotten. She deserves the truth, whatever it is. Rest in peace, Kenneka Jenkins. We haven't forgotten. And we won't stop until we know what really happened in that freezer on that September night in Chicago. That's a promise.